My whole life I've heard you're innocent until proven guilty, but now you're guilty until proven innocent. That is a very, very difficult standard. Well, I say that it's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of. This is a very difficult time.
Hi, I'm James Williams and this is Chimes Media. Lots of ado about the appointment of Brett Kavanaugh as a Supreme Court Justice in the United States, but this problem of false allegations goes way beyond him and has done for many a year before. Well, President Trump, what an amazing comment. A very dangerous time for young men in America. But it goes beyond America, doesn't it? It goes across the world. It's a tough time for all young men and men in general. And it's been the casualty list, which you can't count, of those men who've been exposed to false allegations over decades, is there for all to see if you care to look. The Kavanaugh case may be a blessing in disguise in that it highlights the severe difficulties that men have when they're up against women in courts and in family custody cases, things like that. We've got things like the lefties are basically, as I'm seeing it, the lefties, and there is a distinction here between all left people, because when I was associated with the left, there was a lot of decent, very decent left-wing people who just wanted fairness for all. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're not talking about those. We're talking about the pernicious ones, the ones who get into power and control and take over political parties. We're talking about the ones who now, because of their pollution of our culture, are basically plasticating everybody, making everyone into zombies. We can't enjoy ourselves anymore. There are no jokes allowed. It's just incredible. What was it, Miss World? I never really watched Miss World for many years, but they got rid of the bikini contest, so they're not allowed to wear their swimsuits, and then they come out and it's just a talk thing, and they wonder why the ratings have dropped off. In Formula One, they got rid of pit girls, which cost women who enjoyed their job, enjoyed what they were doing, cut them out of the game. They lost their jobs because of this socialised pressure, this authoritarian leftist nonsense, political correct dictatorship. It's absolutely abhorrent. And what's happening to Brett Kavanaugh, I hope it's a rude awakening to him as well as others, to say, look, we've had enough of this. This is cultural death for us all. This is not acceptable. What else was there? Oh yeah, darts. I don't watch darts for years. They used to have the girls who used to act as ushers there. They got cut out. So if you're a woman, if you're a beautiful woman, you're discriminated against. You're not meant to be part of the game. What has concerned me is if you are accused by women, very often, even if you're found not guilty, there's no action taken against those women for what they've done, even though what they've done is every bit as much an assault and an act of aggression as the actual alleged crime that that the men are supposed to have done. I remember, was it 2 or 3 years ago now, there was a teenage boy in Southampton who was accused of sexual assault of somebody he thought was a trustworthy girlfriend of his, and turned out not to be. God knows what her name is. Don't know her name because you're not meant to know. He committed suicide even though there was no case to answer and the charges were dismissed. He committed suicide. His mother doted over him. She lost her beloved son, whom she loved like nothing else in the world. And a year to the day that he died, she took her own life as well. Now this was something that the BBC were all over it, along with all the other fake media, when he was first accused. But when his suicide came out and his mother died as well, well, they didn't know that. No apology. No setting the records straight. Ched Evans was a promising football player, soccer player to the Americans. He was accused of molesting, raping a woman, I think it was in a nightclub, and film footage showed that there was nothing, that she wasn't drunk at all. She was fully in control of her faculties, and there was no case to argue either. He didn't do anything wrong. He went through the mill. He was sent to prison and subsequently released because the charges were so poor. But when you see what's happening with Kavanaugh's case, and this is, what was it, Yale Law College or whatever the college it was, he was supposed to be appearing to do talks, and they all came out. This is law students coming out and condemning him, using their Title IX, excluding him because he's a rapist. Yet he hadn't had, the charges were unfounded. The whole case is falling apart. Blasey Ford is a total liar, as is shown by her. Just one of the indications of her boyfriend's or ex-boyfriend's statement, sworn statement, done under oath. You know, she's been totally. You look at her body language. If you can go on body language, no tears there. She's enjoying it, enjoying the circus. But this is what you get: the grandstanding. There's money involved. She's already made $1 million out of fundraising. God knows how much more she's made for life. It's not the first time that's happened. She's a gold digger. She saw an opportunity and took it. She doesn't care about destroying Kavanaugh. She doesn't care about anyone. And there's many, many others like that. They're the worst kind of narcissist. And the thing is as well, the real ones, the real women who actually suffer, they're the ones who get disbelieved or get to one side, put to one side by just making it up. You know, it's not right. It's not right. But there has to be balance. And what Trump said, you know, you should be innocent till proven guilty, and it's always going to be the case. Otherwise, you end up with witch trials. You just accuse someone. You end up with the lynch mobs that hang two young black men because they thought they might have raped a white woman. You end up with those things. People being burnt at the stake virtually. And let's say this much. And there was, I've got pictures of in India. This happened, don't know, is it 3 or 4 years ago? With 10,000 people came out and raided a local prison holding 2 accused suspects of rape. They were accused, they hadn't been tried, they were held on remand, if you like to call it that. And they dragged them out, stripped them and killed them, murdered them in the street. 10,000. This is what happens. You know, and it's still these, the white knights are the worst perpetrators. The white knights are the men that go along with this and sympathise when they don't seem to have the gumption to understand they could be the next ones accused. It's pretty horrible stuff. I'll read you this one. This is I found from this is from 2013, but just makes the case in point. A woman led a vigilante gang who tortured and brutally killed a teenager who had been accused of rape. Emma Hall helped 3 men kill a guy called Luke Harwood, who was just 18, after another 18-year-old girl had claimed he had attacked her 2 years before. The girl, obviously unnamed, had made a complaint to the police, but the matter was dropped when she withdrew the allegations. When what she was saying was examined more closely by police, it was clear that she was not in fact saying that he had raped her. But the girl had pointed Luke Harwood out at a chance meeting at a house in Romford in Essex. She and Hall were with the men who began beating up Luke. She had told the others that he was the person that, at the time who had raped her. The men, over a long period of time, severely beat him up by punching and kicking him to the head. So he was bleeding heavily from his injuries and his face was terribly swollen. Hall, that's the girl who's leading the gang, the mob, then allegedly drove the 2 men and Luke to a lane in Woodford Green in East London, where he was taken to the bank of a stream to be finished off. They killed him by punching and kicking him and stamping on his head many, many times. The bones in his face were crushed. The gang then brought petrol and set fire to their bloody clothing before cleaning up bloodstains at the house. The following evening, Emma Hall, had driven 2 of the attackers and 2 other men to the spot where the body had been covered with a mattress and other rubbish, and they had with them knives and a pair of bolt cutters that they were intending to use to mutilate his body to make it more difficult for him to be identified by cutting off his fingers and removing his teeth. But Hall had secretly tipped off the police, who were waiting for them when they arrived. So she's involved in it, and she tipped off her co-offenders. Unbelievable, isn't it? One of the Mr. Dennison, who's one of the barristers or representing QA, what do they call? I don't know what they call him, representing telling the jury. He said his murder was quite extraordinary, callous, violent, and brutal. You don't say. You don't say. Well, that's the way things are, you know. And it's you look around, and it doesn't have to be something as nasty as a violent crime. You just have to have a woman say, "Well, he looked at me funny," or this kind of stuff. You can't now interact with women. Even most of the women are really nice people. Don't get me wrong. It's not all women, but it's the bad eggs amongst them. You can't tell. You know why? As a man, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a professional, or you're working as a manager, how can you possibly trust any woman to be in a closed room with you? You know, can you take that chance? Oh, it won't happen to me, but it does. It does. You know, and it's a terrible situation. And we can't now trust each other. And you're not allowed to look at women. I've had this before. Oh, you know, there was a picture of a half-naked woman. I thought, what a beautiful woman. And I was accused by a feminist. Oh, yeah, you're thinking of rape. And I was thinking she was a beautiful woman. I wasn't thinking of raping her. That's how they are. This is what we've come to. We need a pushback. Not a pushback where it goes all the other way, where women and men are not believed anymore, but where there is rationality, and the way we approach sexual violence or any other kind of violence is treated rationally and considerately, and it's done with justice in mind. But the underlying principle, as Donald Trump said, is innocent until proven guilty. Thanks for watching. Take care.
How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What neighborhood was it in? I don't know. Where's the house? I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered. We had another woman just reported by a sleazebag lawyer named Aviate. Sleazebag. Sleazebag. We have, well, it turned out even NBC, who's as bad as they get, even NBC couldn't shield her with that interview. Did you see that interview? This woman had no clue what was going on.